Thank you, choir, for bringing us into this morning in reverence. Good morning. Welcome to First Parish in Brookline. We are a welcoming Unitarian Universalist congregation, open and affirming to all people. Whoever you are, whatever your gifts or abilities may be, however you identify your gender or sexual orientation, you are welcome here. This morning is our annual Christmas pageant service, so you're in for a treat. Our service today is led by our senior minister, Reverend Lisa Perry Wood, who will be joined today by our Director of Religious Exploration, Lacey Adams. Please take a look at all of the announcements in your order of service. We want to particularly draw your attention to the table our welcoming committee is hosting all Sundays this month of December after the service. If you have questions about First Parish membership or are interested in upcoming events, please stop by. Also, our parish board is meeting today at 12:45 in the Dana Room. Anyone interested in the work of our board is welcome to attend. And finally, there will be a Guatemalan holiday market during coffee hour today. Proceeds go to Common Hope, which focuses on combating poverty and helping Guatemalan children stay in school. So get your holiday shopping started if you haven't already. Now's the time, folks. After the service, please join us for coffee hour through this door over here to Lion Chapel. If you pick up one of the striped mugs, got one, looks like this. Everyone will know you have a particular interest in sharing conversation with others today. Welcome to one and all.
Good morning. Our call to worship this morning reminds us of the cold winter we are experiencing right now. As frozen earth holds the determined seed, this sacred space holds our weariness, our worry, our laughter, and our celebration. Let us bring seed and soul into the light of thought, the warmth of community, and the hope of love. Let us see together, hear together, love together. Come, my friends, into this beloved and sacred space and let us worship together. And now please rise as you are willing and or able and join in singing our opening hymn, number 226, People Look East.
this time, I would like to invite Scott and Joey Ulrich forth to light the chalice, the symbol of our Unitarian Universalist faith the world over. As they light the chalice, please join me in our unison affirmation printed in your order of service, in Spanish and then in English. Nos entregamos y nos comprometemos a caminar juntos como congregación, prometiendo con mucha fe cuidarnos mutuamente y deleitarnos en el amor que permanecerá entre nosotros. We give ourselves one unto another, covenanting to walk together as a congregation, promising faithfully to watch over one another and to delight for love to abide in our midst. Each week we also light 2 candles of peace and hope, each candle representing a different place on earth that we want to lift up and remember this morning as a sacred encounter with the world. Today we remember 2 places that we especially hold close in this service and through the week ahead. After each of the candles is lit, we will speak the words for peace in English, Arabic, and Hebrew. Peace, salam, shalom. Our candle of peace is lit for our oceans, where climate change and nutrient pollution are driving out oxygen and threatening many species of fish. Around 700 ocean sites now suffer from low oxygen, compared with 45 in the 1960s. May our citizens and government work toward curbing this dangerous trend. Peace, salam, shalom. Our candle of hope is lit for Iran, which conducted a prisoner swap with the US in a rare sign of cooperation between the 2 countries. The exchange involved a Chinese-American researcher convicted of spying in Iran and an Iranian scientist held by the US. Both deny wrongdoing. May this be a sign of hope for both our countries. Peace, salam, shalom.
This year, we're lighting an Advent wreath for the 4 Sundays leading up to Christmas. As Unitarian Universalists, it's valuable for us to reconsider and reinterpret the traditions of our ancestors. Our UU faith grows from Christian roots. Some UUs identify as Christians, others don't. We also have among us Jewish UUs, UU Buddhists, UU Humanists, UU Pagans, and Unitarian Universalists who don't see a need for any hyphens or modifiers. Today, together we grow and change, sharing our insights and struggles in response to our spiritual practices. Last week, we lit the first candle for hope. Today, we'll relight the candle of hope, and we'll add a candle for peace.
We prepare for a new era of justice and reconciliation, free from violence and coercion. Peace is possible.
Please respond. Peace is possible.
We give thanks for those who witness for a world made whole and with all her people one.
We light the candles for peace and hope.
Good morning, everybody. In the midst of preparing for the pageant, I did not put my handheld my mic on, so hopefully you can all hear me with the mic from the pulpit. Yes? Okay. Welcome to Pageant Sunday. We have a ton of very excited kids that are ready to put on our pageant this year. And you might notice a few changes to the pageant this year. One of the things we did this year, let me take a step back. One of the really interesting things that we have been talking about together as a staff is this question of how do we make sense and meaning out of the pageant in our contemporary times? And one of the ways that we did that is by making the pageant a little more egalitarian with our young people. And so we gave them more choices this year. We gave them choices about how they wanted to be in the pageant, and we asked them to work together as a community to make decisions. So we're trying, in the ways that even we do our stable, tried and true traditions, to start to incorporate our values in all of the ways that we do that. So we might have a few more wise people this year than normal, because that was their decision. And the Holy Family will look a little different than you might expect it. And we have a lot of kids making decisions about how to lead amongst each other. And these are all ways in which we have given our kids the opportunity to take this long-standing tradition in our community and to make it their own. So with the time that I have in this brief message before we line up to come in and give you the pageant, Reverend Lisa and I thought that this would be a great opportunity for us to kind of talk about how do we make meaning out of the pageant. And so with the few minutes that I have, I want to talk to you about partly why Advent is so deeply meaningful to me, and why this Advent is especially meaningful. You might suspect what I'm going to say there. As most of you know, I consider myself a Christian as much as I consider myself a Unitarian Universalist educator. And those are two things that live sort of side by side in my life. It means that Christian holidays like Christmas and this period of preparation that we call Advent are particularly meaningful to me. And it is more meaningful to me than many of our families sometimes. So like my own family, my wife, as you know, is Jewish, and this baby that I'm currently incubating will also be raised Jewish. But I still find meaning in things like Christmas. So because we have so many different perspectives, one of the things that I really hold on to in this season of Advent, this time of preparation, is this fancy theological concept called the Incarnation. The Incarnation is this idea that God is not a transcendent God up here somewhere, detached from our everyday human experience, but that God is made flesh, that God has a body, and that our God experiences the world through a body. Now, this might seem like a thing that we take for granted in our everyday moments, right? We might just think, oh, of course God has a body. That's what Christmas is all about. But this is actually a really revolutionary concept. And the place where I have connected most deeply with this idea about the Incarnation is in my queer body and the idea of being a queer Christian. Often, Jesus, the words of Jesus, the teachings of Jesus, are really hard for Christians to grapple, for queer Christians to grapple with. And many of us who are queer and Christian have had a hard time coming to terms with Jesus in our world. But it is in the baby Jesus that I have found the most sort of liberation. And it's in these moments of the Incarnation that as a queer Christian, I have started to value my body, and that we have theological words and language for valuing all of our bodies. So we often talk about how the baby Jesus is born into a manger to lowly circumstances. And all of these things are true, right? There is an upheaval of power when it comes to Christmas. That like the baby Jesus is not considered like the most powerful in the world, but one of the most lowly. But in that message, there's a powerful message for us every day for Christmas. And the idea here is that like God lives in the world, experiences the world in the most frail, in the most marginalized, in the most overlooked, in all of the places that we think God does not belong. That the miracle of Christmas is really that our everyday experiences of our body are made holy. That our experiences of being queer Christians is powerful, and that we get to be connected to the divine, not distanced from it. So for a long time, Christmas has been a powerful time when I look to the manger and I see that I believe in, connect to, and love a God that loves my body enough, that loves me enough in all of the ways that I experience my body to change the way we do business in this world. So this Advent especially is somewhat meaningful. In this time of preparation, I have been preparing to have a baby. Em and I found out about a week ago that the baby will come earlier than we expected. So I am going to the hospital tomorrow, to the doctor's office, and we anticipate that the doctor will send me to the hospital tomorrow for us to start the induction so that we will have our own Advent baby in the coming days. That is incredibly exciting and invigorating and really, really scary. But there's something about that I think teaches us an absolutely essential message about the incarnation. God doing something radically different in our lives, in our world, in our body is remarkably frightening. And it asks us to go outside of our comfort zones, and it asks us to go outside of the things that we can already expect. But this is maybe the most powerful message we can get from the season of Advent, where we think about what it meant for Mary to bring in a radical change to the social order in the baby Jesus, right? That all of the most radical changes in our life are frightening, but they are also opportunities for liberation. There are opportunities for new relationships. There are opportunities for a revolution for our world. Some of you have heard me refer to the baby as Revy. We don't have a name. We finally have what might be considered shortlist for names. But while the baby's been inside, we have called it Revy. And we call them Revy because Em and I think that this baby is most probably the most important revolution that we will participate in the world. This is the thing about the incarnation in the baby. It is a revolutionary act that encourages us to participate in a revolution in our world, right? What our world needs now most is for us to be brave, for us to look to the challenges of our world and be willing to risk something, to risk pain, to risk discomfort, to risk a new order so that we can make a better world. And the time of Advent is a time of preparation. So we're not just asked to go deep into Christmas with no sense of preparation. Like we're not asked to, in my case, have a baby without some time to grow it, right? Advent is our time to get ready, to participate in the revolution that our communities and that if we believe in God, that God is offering us. So thank you for all of the ways in which you all have supported me through my pregnancy and through my leave. We are excited to share with you the baby once it's here and it's not flu season and I'm back from leave. But in the meantime, I would encourage all of you to find places to love your body deeply, because this is what Christmas asks us to do. And that when we look to the pageant here today, that even if you don't believe in the historical Jesus, or that this baby was born in a manger in Bethlehem, that you can find meaning in the action of it, that you can find meaning in the story of it, because that's where we make meaning as a community. It's not about this historical event that might or might not have happened. It is about how these stories and myths teach us about how we can be in the world. And Christmas and the pageant can teach us something, even if we don't believe in the event that spurned the story. So as we all go into this sort of revolutionary time of Christmas, find a way to make a revolution in your body today, because our young people are doing it, and we're trying to do it, and I know that this is a community that has that capacity to do it as well. So, thank you.
Let us enter into the spirit of prayer, followed by a time of silent meditation. This is a prayer by Tom Shad. We are seeking Christmas. Beloved mystery, moving among the stars of the cold, clear sky, whispering in the silence of falling snow, whose silence stills our hearts and leaves us wondering and waiting. Spirit of love, we are seeking Christmas, searching in this season for a hidden door to a forgotten room in the house of our very being, where we can live the lives we meant to live. We are searching for Christmas, seeking in this season to be finally persuaded that hope is not just a good idea, and that love is not naive, and that faith is not just the brave face we put on a hopeless situation. Holy mystery, the hope of our age is to be met where we are, at an inn, at the end of the world, to have some small assurance that a lantern might be lifted to light our path, to follow footsteps through the snows. Grant each one of us a measure of Christmas peace. Fill us with hope and good cheer, and grant that each of us feels surrounded by love, and that right here, in the joyous tumult of this season, a word of encouragement and grace might ring out in every human heart. And now, please join me in a moment of silence.
So, this is Christmas explained to an anxious heathen. Robert Fulghum is a Unitarian minister who wrote, "All I Really Need to Know I Learned in Kindergarten," which we've heard here at First Parish in Brookline before. He also wrote about a friend made anxious by defensive Christmas. This is a shortened version of that story. She doesn't relate to a newborn king or angelic choirs or visiting astrologers. When the Christmas machine cranks up and the dictators of holiday joy blare forth, she wants to crawl in a hole and hide. She was not raised in a religious community. Christmas was not a part of her childhood. She doesn't know most Christmas carols or the history or theology of Christmas traditions. She and Jesus have a lot in common.
Jesus never went to church or Sunday school, never had a Bible, wouldn't understand the Easter Bunny, wasn't Christian, American, or white Caucasian. Jesus was a Jew born in a land run by Romans. He was confused and conflicted about the religion of his day. He would be just as confused and conflicted today.
On the other hand, if he came to dinner at my friend's house, she would like him. He was a fine storyteller, enjoyed good wine, and was the kind of guy who would help clean up the dishes after the meal. He liked good people, and she is one of those. Jesus would like her.
What is she supposed to do about Christmas? My advice is just get simple-minded for a few days. Don't be a victim of the dark side of human craziness that gets loose this time of year. That's not all that's going on. Getting together with friends is good. Singing with friends is good. Laughing and hugging and kissing are good. Giving those you love a present that makes your affection clear is good.
Giving something to those in need. Decorating the house, going outside late at night to look at the stars. All good. So is being hopeful. Cookies and pies, slowing down and taking life easy for a few days. Reflecting on what's good about your life is good. Don't worry about the theology. People always need something to explain the wonders of life.
Forget about the virgin birth. Every birth is a miracle. Don't get anxious about angels hovering. Some angels are real. You might be sitting next to one right now, or standing next to one. Don't worry about what everybody else does. Do it your own way. Be kind, be generous, reach for the good in ways large and small. You may choose to do that.
Don't worry about presents. Be as present as you can. Risk optimism. Most of us are doing the best we can most of the year. And this time of year, we often try a little harder to love our neighbors and ourselves.
It's like this. The good existed in the human race long before Christmas and will remain essential to the human race long after Christmas. And every day and every night is sacred to those who believe that.
The offering will now be gratefully received. If you are visiting First Parish for the first time today, please feel free to let the basket pass you by. We are so glad to have you with us.
Thank you, choir. Beautiful, beautiful. For all that you have so generously given and for all that we have received, we say thank you. Well, I have to start by saying that Lacey is a tough act to follow. Right? That's okay. So now we're about to come to the moment in the service that may be what brought many of you to church today, our annual Christmas pageant. And let's be honest, some of you may be wondering, like Bob Foljam's anxious heathen, why do UUs have a pageant at all? And I have to admit, while I'm not exactly a heathen like Bob Foljam's friend, I often struggle a bit with how to celebrate Christmas, how to celebrate it authentically. Of course, as a minister, I have to figure that out every year. Sometimes I just wonder what, as Unitarian Universalists, we're celebrating, at least those of us who don't believe in the virgin birth, in Jesus as the Son of God, or the idea that he was born and died for our sins, or some of us who don't even believe in sin, right? In the spirit of the Foljam reading, we could call this Christmas Pageant Explained to Anxious UUs. I always end up turning to the answers that Foljam gives us, even though Jesus was not a Christian and probably would be horrified by the commercialism of the way we celebrate his supposed birthday. Even then, there is something we can reach for in this season. Less cynicism, more smiling. As Foljam says, just get simple-minded for a few days. Make some popcorn, settle down and watch a Hallmark movie. Join in some caroling with Keith on the green, even if you don't think you can sing. Am I right? Sure. Bundle up and go and look at the holiday lights. Reach out to an old friend or make a new one. See if you can find some of the joy and love in the season without feeling like a hypocrite if you don't buy the whole story. Few of us do, and it's okay. So back to the pageant and why we do this. So I heard this pageant story from a colleague. It centers around Tommy, who wouldn't sit still in Sunday school. He was a little bit of a handful, as they say. The Christmas pageant was coming, and the teachers had a great idea. The children would all dress up as animals, as in the friendly beasts, and they'd wear their footed pajamas, and they'd give gifts to the baby Jesus. Great idea. The kids were enthusiastic. I'll be a bluebird, said one. The other one volunteered, I'll be a goat. And Tommy said, I'll be the monkey, as he pranced around. Well, Tommy missed rehearsal. Uh-oh, worried the teachers. Tommy might say anything. When the program time came, the teachers smiled. Tommy was missing. They could relax. But at the last minute, in galloped Tommy. You must be quiet, whispered the teachers, as they attached his tail and his ears. Okay, Tommy said. The children sat on the steps in front of the altar, and they took turns at the microphone. The little bluebird began, I will sing to baby Jesus. The goat said that she would give cheese to the Holy Family. The horse offered rides. The duck offered feathers. And finally, the rabbit declared that he would share his soft fur. Tommy grinned. He somersaulted down the steps, leapt up and shouted, I will teach baby Jesus to laugh. And the whole congregation clapped and laughed, and it's rumored, said my Christian pastor friend, that Jesus may have laughed too. Oh, and by the way, Tommy was my minister friend's son. True story. As for our pageant, This tradition that has lasted 100 years, so they say, at First Parish, well, it's really about the children, isn't it? All of our children are important to us, and on this day, they belong to all of us. In this story that is ancient and flawed and even a little confusing, it's just a story for most of us. But we need stories, especially ones filled with hope and love and mystery. Most children love to dress up and play parts, ones they are given, the ones they make up, and they love to be part of something. The pageant brings our First Parish children into our circle, the circle of tradition, even if it looks a tiny bit different each year. So here's what I say to anxious UUs. Get into the spirit. Give freely and often. Enjoy the lights and the food and the holiday cheer. Don't get hung up on theology. Just look into the children's faces as they walk out here in a few minutes and soak up their joy. They may not be your children. Maybe you never had children, but you were a child once. Catch the glow in their eyes and remember, reclaim the joy that is your birthright too. Hug your family and friends a little tighter, maybe even dare to hug somebody you don't even know. Sing loudly, again, even if you think you can't sing, even if you don't know the lyrics. To quote Bob Foljam again, the good existed in the human race long before Christmas and will remain essential to the human race long after Christmas. And every day and every night is sacred to those who believe that. So right now, sit back and enjoy this long-standing tradition simply for what it is, a chance for our children to shine in the spotlight and for adults to bask in their reflected joy. And that, my friends, that is reason enough. Amen.
You all did such a wonderful, wonderful job. Isn't that right? And this is not only a very special holiday, because it is always a special holiday, but this year in this church, in this congregation, we are waiting for a special baby. Whose baby is that? Lacey's. That's right. That's right. They all know. So I'm going to invite Lacey and Emily to come up here so that we can give them a special blessing from our congregation. I'm going to have them come up here and face this way. Come face everybody right here. Beautiful. And I'm going to ask all of you to come down around Lacey and Emily. Just come on down and surround them all around, nice and close. That's good. I'm going to give them a really special blessing. I'm going to get a little closer here. There you go. So, dearest Lacey and Emily, the path of motherhood has a beginning but no end. It is constantly changing and constantly challenging. Along the way, we encounter our personal limits over and over, and we fall in love over and over. We ride the sharp edge of hope and fear, and on this path of discovery, as on any spiritual path, our pretensions are shattered, our minds are blown, and our hearts are opened. We cry, we laugh, we bumble around and make countless mistakes. It's true. And through it all, we are gently or abruptly poked into greater honesty, loving kindness, and understanding. It is a truly joyful path. Now I'm going to ask the congregation to please stand and hold out your hands for a virtual laying on of hands. And if you, young people, can either touch a hand to Lacey and Emily, that's right, or touch each other, either way, there you go. And here's our blessing. This is a birth blessing from the Apache tradition. May the sun bring you new energy by day. May the moon softly restore you by night. May the rain wash away your worries. May the breeze blow new strength into your being. May you walk gently through the world and know its beauty all the days of your life. And now, will the congregation please repeat line by line after me? May your birthing be blessed. May your birthing be blessed. May this child move swiftly into your arms. May your mothering be blessed. Lacey and Emily, know that as you embark on the sacred path of motherhood, you continue to be held by this community. Our thoughts, our prayers, our love will go with you this day and every day. You are ours, and we are yours. Amen. And blessed be. And now, as you're standing already, please join in singing Once in King David's, Royal David's City, which Noah is bringing up for us here any moment. And actually, I had something I forgot. Royal David's City. speaking of gifts, rare and something else, I forgot that I have these gifts of bracelets with prayer beads on them that have been specially blessed for Emily and Lacey, so that you will have something to take with you to remember us. And now, where's Emily? Excuse me, friends.
It's so nice to have everyone up here with us for this part. What a blessing.
I love it.
So please join me in our unison affirmation as Reverend Lisa extinguishes the chalice. We extinguish this flame and not the light of truth, the warmth of community, or the fire of commitment. These we carry with us and offer as gifts unto the world. For that also.
And, and now please take the hand or touch the shoulder or elbow of someone near you for our benediction. I'm going to make my way through here. Okay, there we are. I'm going to get my words here. It is now time to depart. Go forward to our lives and into the world. May joy be your companion, whether you're with others or alone. May love be your strength. May the gift of community dwell in your hearts. For here in this place, you will be welcome always, whenever you choose, whenever you need. Beloved friends, go out in the world, take all that we have shared here today, and be a blessing to all those you meet. And may you yourselves be blessed. Amen. Nice job, everybody.